A Catholic church in Massachusetts is causing a lot of controversy for their nativity scene this year. The pastor said he wanted to depict what's happening at America's border right now, so he put the three wise men behind a wall and the baby Jesus in a cage, like the recent photos we've seen of migrant children at the border. So is a nativity scene the place for a political statement, or is it effective? What would you say, my dears?
I'm not a fan of safe spaces to begin with, but can we have one for Jesus? Like, I'm sorry, I've been very outspoken on children and families being separated at the border. This, to me, feels very wrong. And I think there should be a place where you can see a nativity scene and go to your church, and there's a place where we can talk politics, like right here at this table, and really anywhere else you want to go, and have those real debates, and people can voice their opinions. That's what this country's all about.
Isn't it the most
but Jesus didn't do anything wrong. He's not a part of this.
He was a refugee, just like Mary and Joseph.
And he had to leave Bethlehem.
Is there any better way to protest that than for the Catholic Church, which really is rising to the occasion in many ways, because all they can do is vote, also, like the rest of us.
Well, I was very conflicted about it when I saw this. You know, nobody wants to see the baby Jesus in a cage. But I will tell you this. I think the Catholic Church oftentimes doesn't do enough when it comes to current issues. And I know when I go to my church, you know, sometimes the homily is just so bland, and he never ties in current events with the homily. And I'll never forget, I went to church right after the Sandy Hook shooting. The priest never mentioned it. And I stopped going to that particular church because I want guidance in terms of faith and what it's going on in our world today, because it's so divisive, and I want the guidance from the church. And so when I look at this, you know, it shook me up incredibly. But maybe this is the right thing to do. Maybe people need to be shaken up, because look at what is happening to children and families at the border.
I know.
It is despicable. There are still children separated, over 5,000, from their families. Still,
but
and
don't
really
we have
here.
Don't we have separation of church and state for a reason, though?
This is my. Then it's each. We cherry pick what we want when we want it. Do you want separation of church and state? Do you want separation of religion and politics, or do you want it all to be one thing? Me personally, I like the separation of church and state. You can go to any church, worship, whatever.
That's a good argument.
You can go to any church, worship in whichever way you want. I also think the Catholic Church has a lot of scandals on its own that it hasn't taken care of about pedophilia and things that they need to look at in their own house before maybe lecturing me and my country on how we're doing things. Take a look inside your own house. No disrespect to Catholics. I know you're a practicing Catholic as well. I am Baptist, and I wouldn't like it if I was going into church and there's any kind of political statement whatsoever.
How do you feel about the evangelicals speaking out constantly about religion and mixing Trump?
I don't like
Trump and
it's
religion
a hard line
together.
for me. I don't like it's a hard line. Much like I'm a free speech advocate, there are hard lines in my life. The separation of church and state.
And anyway, I would say also to that argument, two wrongs don't make a right. Just because they do have a bad pedophilia scandal, which I'm assuming that they're dealing with.
This
is a separate issue, and they're allowed to do this.
Look, you're right.
But the church, the separation, I'm with you on that.
I am too, but on basically everything. When it comes to religious freedom and the issues of, you know, curtailing LGBTQ rights and not selling cakes to people who want to get married, and abortion. I mean, it's, you know, it's not just one issue, it's all issues. So if we're going to be separating church and state on one issue, it should be on all. Now, look, I am a non-practicing Catholic. When I go to church,
you don't have to practice. You're very good at it.
I mean, lightning could strike. But
lightning could strike.
I was raised by Sacred Heart nuns who taught us social awareness that compels to action. And the Catholic Church, and there's no boundaries, the Catholic Church has spoken very strongly on issues like immigration, on, you know, and they've asked for compassion.
In particular, can I say very quickly, the Black Church has always been very politically active. It is where people go to get registered for voting. It historically was very involved in the civil rights movement, so there hasn't been this sort of separation of church and state.
But let me just
I think it's an appropriate
one last thought. If the church is going to interfere with politics, they have to pay taxes. I'm sorry.
Oh, well,
We'll be right back.
That's a good point.